All right, this week we're going to do isometric drawings, and I'm giving you an isometric graph paper. It may or may not have a border and title block, and most of isometric graph paper is at a 30-degree angle. Okay, if you check it with a triangle, you can check it and make sure. Some may be a little bit different. Okay, so you just have to kind of check it to make sure. But put your paper down and draw you a line down the center, dividing it into two equal sheets, because we're going to do two drawings. We're going to start with this one right here. In this version of the book, it's 6.8, drawing number 3, the slide. And so we've got all the information we need to do an isometric drawing. 4.12 long, 2.24 deep, and 2 inches tall. Okay, so that's the object we're going to draw for the first one. And we start out, we need to find the center of our isometric space. And the easiest way to do that is to take a straight edge and you go diagonal across the corners. And I look at this and I'm like, it's like 13 inches long. So I'm going to put me a little line right here between 6 and 7. And I'll go the opposite direction. And put a little tick mark there where those cross. Now that's the center of this drawing space here. And I want to be able to center my isometric view in this. And the formula for doing that is we take half of the height, half of the length, and half of the depth. So I'm going to take from that center point, I'm going to draw a vertical line down. And I want to measure half of the height. In this case, the height is 2. So I'll measure 1 inch down. Put me a mark. And then I want to go down to the left. And I'm going to go half of the depth. And my depth was 2.24, so half of that would be like 1 1/8. Put a mark. And then go down to the right, half of the length. And my length is 4 1/8, so that'd be 2 1/16. Okay, and so that's got me a point. Now I'm going to move that to a grid intersection. So I'm going to move it up. I'm going to move it up to this one because that's kind of a bold intersection of lines, and then I can erase all of those other things that I drew. Now this method of centering an isometric view, it works great on paper. You can use it in AutoCAD. It's not really necessary in AutoCAD because you can move all the stuff that you've drawn around. But you can use it. Okay, so now the best way to do isometrics, I have found, is to draw the cube or the box that will hold our object. And so you can follow the grid lines. I would go full length, so I'm going to draw a line back. And I'm going to come to the right side. Same thing. And then I'm going to go vertical. And I'm just drawing these kind of long, very light construction lines. Now I'll measure. So the length or the width of my object is 4 1/8. My depth was 2.24, which is just a little bit shy of 2.25. And my height was 2 inches. And then once I have those marks in, I want to finish out my box. And the nice thing about doing the box is it gives you several reference planes that you can add or subtract from. Just like we did when we were doing the sketches. Okay, so now that I've got my box, now I can start working on the details of my drawing here. And it's 1.5 back, and then 1 1/8. So I'll measure back 1 1/2. Oop, wrong pencil, sorry. 1 1/2. And then that's 1 1/8. And the height of that is 1 inch up. And so I'm gonna measure over here on this because I got a reference line. And then I can project that back over those points. Okay, and so that's got my left side view completed. Now let's go to the right side over here, and we have kind of a U shape, and it's 0.5 in from both sides. So I'll measure in from both sides 1/2 inch. And then it is 1 1/4 down, 1.25 down. So there's 1.25 right here. Okay, and then from those I can project back down across the top view. Okay, and I know that's extremely light, so I'm going to clean up some eraser lines and darken that so you'll be able to see it well. Okay, now I'll darken what I've got drawn so far for you. Okay, those were all the visible lines that we had laid out already. Now, because it's an isometric view, we can see things beyond the surface that we have. So we can see the bottom of this slot here. So we would draw a line for that. We can see this intersection coming back to the left and the vertical edge here that would come down to meet it. So we kind of have to look at those together, and you can see it's going to go behind the front edge, not quite exactly into the middle of it, and then a vertical line here. Okay, let's see, we have a hole. We have a hole here in the front surface that is 0.75 back and centered. So let's see if that hole is going to appear for us. So it's 1 1/8 from the outside edge. There's my center. And then you can kind of lay your rule against your triangle to get it at the right angle. And that was going to be, what do we say? 0.75 back to the center of it. So the center will be here. So yes, we'll be able to see part of that. So I'll draw me some construction lines that will be the center line of that hole. And I need to get out an ellipse, an ISO ellipse template. Okay, so this is an isometric ellipse template. I've got several different kinds of them in the lab, in the shapes that you use. But basically, you use these diagonal center marks to line them up with in your isometric views. If the hole is on the top surface of your ISO object, then the isometric ellipse will go long ways horizontally. If the hole is like on the left surface, then the isometric ellipse will go up to the left. If it's on the right surface of your cube, the hole will go up to the right. Okay, so this has a hole of diameter 0.5. Okay, so here's a half inch hole right here. And so I line up the diagonal hash marks with my center lines that I drew that are isometrically. Okay, and this thing is designed so you can put it against the T-square if you would like, or against your parallel bar. And in our case here, we're only going to draw the visible part of our line, of our hole. We're not going to draw any hidden lines. And with this particular one, let's draw in a little bit of a center mark. And then we would erase out other construction lines that we had there. Okay, and that has got object number 3 done. And then we're going to come in and do the wedge, object number 6, over here on the right side. And centering it is the same way. Draw your cube, and then you start pulling back out of the cube. And I'm going to pause the video, get the stuff drawn that you should already be able to figure out how to draw, and then show you how to deal with that 45-degree angle line.